I'm asking if people have seen the Nolan Wells family press conference they had earlier at the NABJ, National Association of Black Journalists. Um, his mom, dad, and Benjamin Crump and Al Sharpton were there. Was good, folks. Seeing people on Instagram. I am Young Energy. Dev from LA was good with y'all. Did y'all see that press conference Nolan Wells' family had earlier at the National Association of Black Journalists with Benjamin Crump and Al Sharpton? That's the main thing I'm coming on for, because there are a few things that are happening with that. But again, we are also dealing with here in LA and pretty much everywhere. It just kind of is the epitome of what's happening. It was good, DJ Kali Monk on YouTube. I'm asking folks if you have seen that. Okay, I am Young Energy saying yes, he did see it. What are your thoughts on it? That's basically what I'm asking folks. I don't know if you heard me, DJ Kali Monk, but I'm asking if people saw the Nolan Wells family press conference they had earlier with Benjamin Crump and Al Sharpton. But first, I do want to acknowledge another hero in LA who has transitioned. I knew the brother is Jamie, but I saw a balloon release yesterday. They were referring to him as Jaime, and on his social media, he goes by Rare Breed. But I've known Jamie going back probably at least 15 years, if not longer. I was introduced to him through our great brother Matt Capone. Jamie was part of the Ceasefire family over there with brother Taco. And a lot of times when we protest police killing us, or we push back against the police killing us, folks, a lot of times Negroes will come online and be like, oh, how come y'all never do nothing when black people kill us? And, I usually question them like, where are you at? Because many of us are out here for all of that. But Jamie, or Jaime, as I'm saying, he was referred to yesterday, was one of the ones who was consistently out there with families who lost loved ones in the gang wars. Their group Ceasefire was also committed to going into the many different neighborhoods in an effort to prevent young people from, engaging in the gang wars. And he's one of the ones who, corporate media, even black media, didn't regularly raise up for the work that he and Ceasefire is doing. But, trust and believe he made a major impact on this city as far as that goes. And, he will be greatly missed. They have had two balloon releases for him. The one yesterday, I think, was on Vermont. And then the day before that, they were over at Ted Watkins Park, as he has done work all around this city. But, once again, it just made me think like, damn, why are all of these people that's doing all this foul shit still here? All these sellouts and other Negroes who are harming the community. Why do these motherfuckers continue to get the breed? Please start taking those motherfuckers. Yeah. But, for those who don't know, I tagged his name in some of the posts I made, so you can go to his page and learn more. And one thing I realized is like almost all of his pictures were either with family or with people he was out doing the work with. So, most definitely respect to him, to his legacy, condolences to his family. to the whole ceasefire team. But that is a major loss for our city. But going back to, I see folks are commenting already. I'll read those in a moment. I was reading one of the comments, but yeah, this Nolan Wells family press conference. I saw a couple folks reacting to it, commenting on. I didn't really watch it yet because I've been running around today, but I watched it in its entirety, and when it starts, you can see why Benjamin Crump is usually one of the main folks. They use or they have to represent families. Because when it comes to legality, the brother knows this stuff. There were some things he said, even how he had non-black people on his team respond to certain questions. All of that is necessary as they once again are trying to criminalize us for raising up the fact that the race card is part of the reason that young brother was killed. But then, of course, as Al Sharpton is up there, those of us who know his presence is to make sure things stay contained and controlled, period. Just to stay objective with it, not even going into subjective issues with him. But the primary subjective thing with Al Sharpton is that he is owned up to working as an informant for the FBI in the past. And once you play that position, you will forever play that position. So, and then every time he steps up in these situations, it's for containment and control. But also, he started revealing himself today when he was saying, we just want what's fair and we will accept what comes out of it. And he started to mention other cases where shit came out basically justifying our folks being killed. And he stated that we accepted that. We didn't accept none of that shit. Again, that's why they put him out there as a misleader to say dumb shit like that. We haven't accepted none of the lack of justice on the behalf of many of our people that have been killed. But again, as always, he's starting to reveal his true purpose of being up there. But as the press conference went on, this was the first time I saw the mom breakdown, and none of us can really know what she's really going through. Not only has she lost her son, but now she's being targeted and attacked for demanding justice. And, that is something they did highlight today, is that this family wants what any family, any white family, any other family will want, were their loved one to come up. And we can't even say missing at this point. And I'm going to get to that in a minute. But yeah, the dad briefly spoke and responded to a question. But as it went on, what I saw and got out of it was, again, begging Massa to please do something. And again, that is why we continue to see the same individuals put out front when shit like this happens. What I did notice that they didn't do, I think for at least 2 weeks now, two of the primary pieces of evidence have finally come out, and they didn't address none of that. One, the audio tape, which I think a few days ago I pointed out how they have really been online trying to convince us that we didn't hear what we heard. And as I was saying initially, why this case is highlighting shit that we even deal with out here in Los Angeles is because I've had cases against me, and I've been to court for other folks who've had cases. And the mental game is one of the primary games they play in that damn courtroom, even when we're not guilty of nothing. But they know quite often once they finally get that 12 or 15 who's going to make up the jury, 12, actually sitting up, and then usually about two or three alternatives, they know quite often, especially if you don't have a good defense attorney fighting for you for the best jury, because almost anytime black folks are in that courtroom, they're some of the first ones dismissed when it's a case against us. But the mental game is what ultimately plays out, and it gives many of the jurors the right to pull the race card without necessarily saying so, but convict us or find us guilty. One such case was my cousin Faison, and he was being accused of making terrorist threats by people who needed a damn interpreter when they got up and testified. So they can't speak English well enough to testify to what actually happened, but yet they're testifying that somebody said something in English. And then another major piece of evidence which would have proved my cousin's innocence was the videotape that just so happened to come up missing in his case. But in this case with Nolan Wells, an audio tape actually came forward in which we heard that an individual named Bart, who they were trying to act like at first wasn't even there, was called out on that boat as the one who killed Nolan. And that is when I salute Willie D and even Compton Rick Rock and a couple of others for sticking to. That's a major part of the mind game they are now playing in the public as they're prolonging the results of their investigation, or even making arrests or filing charges against anybody. Because at this point, a whole bunch of folks are guilty of attempting to cover this shit up after the fact. But again, same shit that happens with us out here in LA. The second piece of evidence that came up like yesterday was they identified the governor is actually has a not just a friendly but a professional relationship with the parents of the prime suspect. This individual Bart, his mother was appointed to the Mississippi Board of Health by the governor. So when he came out initially saying that they didn't suspect foul play, and even was threatening Crump and Al Sharpton, we now know why that is, and we now know why everyone up underneath him has been playing a role in attempting to cover this up and not go into actually arresting this individual Bart. But neither one of these points were brought up in that press conference today. And again, this is where, the average person that watches something like that and hear, Crump talk all that legality, and then Al Sharpton, try to make all the insinuations about because the Department of Justice is now under Trump's watch. We ain't got no justice under neither watch, Republican or Democrat. But they didn't bring up the two primary pieces of evidence that would have really raised the consciousness of all the black journalists who were there, and even giving them the orders to go out and press the fact that we can't move past that fucking audio tape and what we heard on that. That's the only piece of evidence that's needed, what we heard on that fucking audio. And another thing they've been doing the past week to try to dismiss that audio tape is saying that it was enhanced. They're not saying it was altered, but they keep saying it was enhanced as though that is a bad thing. Not that the sister who enhanced it went back and altered or added words or took words out. But again, they keep throwing out that enhance to vilify both the audio tape and those of us who keep raising up. And that's what we got to keep doing. That's where these gatekeepers, once again, tell us to bow down and act like we don't hear no evil, see no evil, speak no evil. That audio tape was all we needed to fucking hear to verify what we already knew from the very fucking beginning when we heard this. But the other thing I've noticed over the many years when we do get out and respond to situations like this, we can't allow all the energy, all the frustration from everything we all are dealing with right now to get caught up in responding to this one situation. Back when Trayvon was killed back in 2012, that happened in like February 2012. About April of 2012, it was brought to our attention that a young brother named Khalid Flimban, Khalid, Khalid Flimban, Flimban. You can, look him up. There's still information online about. I just saw on YouTube. My volume might have been down. Let me know if you was hearing me or not on YouTube. But we found, I believe in April 2012, we met Tony Battle, who is the mother of Khalid Flimban, and he had been hung out in Laguna Hills at a park. And, the mom, she had came to one of the Panther breakfasts and they introduced her to us. So we started going out there and helping her. And what the police in Laguna Hills, I don't remember if it was the police, the sheriff in Laguna Hills, but they dismissed it as a suicide, saying he committed a ligature hanging, something they say that happens in prison with inmates, but basically he was hung from a play apparatus with a belt. And the police or whoever sheriff dismissed it as a suicide, but once we went out and we started pressing individuals from the information we have, what we found was that the park was behind the house of this Persian cat named Sean, and Sean and Khalid thought they were friends, in addition to this other Mexican individual named Renee. Renee was a drug dealer and a pimp. And Renee got arrested, and his white girlfriend ended up tricking off some of his money. And when Renee got out, the girlfriend put the blame on Khalid. So Renee had Sean, who house this happened behind. Renee had Sean and the girlfriend go, I believe Khalid was staying in like Anaheim or Fullerton at that time. They went and picked him up and took him back to Laguna Hills, where Renee killed him. And this all came out eventually by Sean. Sean, who wasn't coming forward with the police, but again, once he was pressed by the people and other neighbors in the area, when we started knocking on doors, talking to people, it's where we got the full story of what happened. But I'm bringing all that up to say that was a case equally where a young black man was killed, just so happened by some people that he did know, but it got damn near no attention other than the noise we went out there and made, helped the family make. And a lot of the energy went into Trayvon, which was another tragic situation, but for different reasons. As corporate media chose to run with that, put that out there, got all of our attention behind it, got all of us across the country galvanized behind it. Energy was lost as far as supporting Khalid's family. At that point, I believe it was being said we were being killed like every 36 hours between the police and non-black people killing us and pretty much getting away with it. But all the energy of what we were collectively going through was put into Trayvon, and it did result after George Zimmer Monkey was found not guilty in a national, even an international uprising again. It didn't result in any justice for Trayvon, and a lot of energy that otherwise could have went into actually responding, even preventing some of the lives that were lost during that period didn't happen. And that pattern has continued. I would even, say going back to Rodney King and Latasha Harless, where Rodney King was the primary name put out there, and that trial really ignited a lot of the response. But from what I saw being all around the city and surrounding cities, the primary anger at that time was Latasha Harless. But bringing it back to today, we're seeing right now, both down south and even out here in LA and across the country, again, people are feeling as though they have a green light to kill us. And many of our people are once again sitting on our asses, looking at what either corporate media or black media chooses to have us focus on, as opposed to knowing that every single one of us are under attack right now. Every single one of us are under attack right now. And again, as I, keep emphasizing, it's primarily focused because we are not strategizing on how to exact consequences against these people who are coming after us. Quite often we wait into an isolated situation like what Carmelo Anthony found himself in, or even, out here, we just had our brother Freaky receive a life sentence plus 7 years as he responded in a individual situation. And, he ended up stabbing the individual. And with that, I want to thank our sister Demetria K for having me on the other day to speak about that. A couple things I want to raise up with that happens with a lot of us in that isolated situation. Yeah, it can seem like, we're just flipping out, especially when they choose to show the video. In his case, they found the video and they chose to start it, what they aired on TV. They started it from a certain point. The video on ABC starts as Freaky is being restrained by two other black men, one holding his right arm, one blocking his left arm, and actually blocking his whole body from the Latino cat. And a couple of days ago, I went and watched it again. And what I noticed that time was that the Latino actually steps towards Freaky and says something in his face before Freaky finally snaps and gets him. So, I don't know if those Metro buses actually capture audio too. But it was clear that, one, knowing Freaky, something provoked him even before the video clip they showed us. And then clearly after that dude stepped up, whatever he said was the final straw. And that is what is happening to a lot of us right now when we respond to these situations individually. For many years, we have suggested that each of us should have 3 to 5 people who we reach out to in a time of crisis. As soon as you get a whiff of some shit, you should be notifying folks, as brief as possible, what's happening, where you at, what type of response you need. Do you need an immediate response? Is it some violence you're dealing with? Is sickness you're dealing with? Whatever. And that, we have found over the years, puts us in a better position. One, getting folks to at the very least come witness what actually transpires, or if necessary, step in and assist with whatever help is needed. But yeah, as the days go by, y'all, I'm telling you right now, just moving around, I can see this shit is, the level of racial tension is very motherfucking high. And first responders who are not us are usually not us. Like, if it be the police, the EMTs, Um, it ain't us, y'all. And if we're not strategizing on how we're going to respond and who we're hoping to respond or trying to have to respond in those situations, you're basically allowing yourself to be set up like our other brothers are right now. The Carmelo Anthony situation, they wait till after the trial to start putting out information. And his trial too, it ended up being known that the so-called victim's dad and judge and DA and all of them was buddies. So again, we're seeing where they are allowing themselves a privilege because they're utilizing their various positions of power to look out for each other. Again, somewhere that we have consistently dropped the ball. We've had people who have been in those positions drop the ball. I will read some of these questions now. I'm asking folks that are just now joining, if you're still here, did you see the Nolan Wells family's press conference with Benjamin Crump and Fal Sharpton? And what are your thoughts of it? I Am Young Energy said, yes, I did. I Am Young Energy is saying, bottom line, OG, what I feel is we need to stand on business and pull up to these white organizations and catch the fade with everyone. Man, that energy is most definitely where we need more of us to be at. That political consciousness is where we need more of our hood folks who are constantly out here, catching phase with each other, basically over nothing. But yeah, that and you most definitely what you're doing right now, especially with your music, I shared before that it's kind of what I did in 91. After we had the situation in Westwood, Rodney King got beat that Sunday, that Friday, we went Westwood, New Jack City came out. We ended up tearing up Westwood. I got locked up. The week after that, Latasha Harlins was killed. And I actually had a song, Ignite a Riot. And many other brothers and sisters are out here, just talking to each other about what we needed to do. And that focus and energy went right into 92. But yeah, most definitely. Branchla Davis is saying him and AB back to back, one say apart, huh? Taco knows my pops. They did time together. Okay, most definitely. Yeah, she's speaking on the loss of our brother Jamie with ceasefire. That's a huge loss, but again, unfortunately, some of the other platforms really are disconnected from the ones who are really doing the real work out here. And they just praise the ones that trot around and bump their gums, in spaces and places where it's not really making a difference. I Am Young Energy is saying, yes, rest in peace, Rare Breed. That is the rap name our brother was going by. DJ Novocaine is saying Mississippi is never an honest place. Right. As people point out right now, it goes back to a lot of the cases that fueled the civil rights movement, Emmett Till and other situations. I was even thinking this morning that Mississippi does not have one professional team. Football, basketball, baseball, hockey, none of that shit. And, I can imagine reasons as to why the state wouldn't want it. They wouldn't want to have Negroes celebrated in that state. But I could also imagine why our people wouldn't want to play for a professional team over there or even a visiting team to go to that state. We're seeing, once again, a great example of how they exert their privilege to still kill us and attempt to get away with it in 2026. Hamasi bin Laden, he is not a voice of the people at all. Sharpton, the FBI ain't going to help black people at all, most definitely. Hamasi bin Laden, again, they only listen to violence, period. Payback, all races fight back except ours. Right. And I ain't gonna necessarily say ours does not fight back. It's just too few of us who do. It's too few of us who do. And again, that's part of the reason why they got all these prisons to lock up the ones who fight. That's part of the reason why they got COINTELPRO and all these attempts to keep us fighting each other, so that those of us who really do fight get taken out fighting each other, as opposed to fighting the ones who we really need to be fighting and fighting for power. And I'm actually glad you brought up that point, because it reminded me of something else I wanted to bring up that's happening right now. A lot of these primaries in other states, the races are really coming down to, as far as the Republican races, Trump, though the candidates that have Trump's backing, and the Republican candidates who aren't necessarily in bed with the MAGA agenda. As far as the Democrats, they have what they refer to as the moderates, the progressives, and it seems like the progressives are even intertwined with what they're now calling the Democratic Socialists. But in none of those cases am I seeing any support for reparations. I do see, I think it's with the Democratic Socialists, they're pushing against the Israel lobby, but they're also pro-immigration. So again, what this ultimately amounts to is, in November, we're seeing folks going into office who will either, as Republicans, be furthering Trump's agenda, or as Democrats, either pushing Israel and immigration or pushing against Israel and immigration. But across the board, none pushing reparations. So, as we have said again, because when we don't have candidates who are fighting for us, what the fuck are we voting for? There is no such thing as a lesser evil. So, that is something most definitely, everything we're saying now, I believe will, be on steroids after November. They're trying to coast it out. And even I think that is part of why we see them stalling in this Nolan Wells case, because ultimately it's coming down to a decision by the federal government. And that's something they're going to have to weigh out, because it's going to play out in November. If they back these MAGA, because what's going on in Mississippi right now with Nolan Wells, it's being revealed that the parents are attached to the MAGA movement all the way up to the governor. And they know that could significantly hurt them. So I believe that is what is another factor in them delaying, either announcing their investigation has led to no arrests in this Nolan Wells situation, which they know will set it off, or them arresting some of these MAGA folks, which they know will further the civil war that's happening within the Republican Party. But DJ Novocaine is saying, my brother was killed in Mississippi inside of my sister's house, and his killer was never arrested. I remember when that happened. I remember when you brought that to attention. I didn't remember that was Mississippi, but now that you raised that up, it makes sense. Most definitely, DJ Novocaine, they not going to mention that. Who else on Instagram has commented? Hamasi bin Laden is saying, 90, my brother was murdered. 90, my brother was murdered by LA sheriffs. Oliver X. My next move is my last. Tired of talking. My next move is my last. Tired of talking. You have to take out back. Hamasi is my revolutionary name. You have to kill back. Hamasi is my revolutionary name. I'm Brian Beasley. That was you in Lamert attack. try to attack you. I'm not exactly sure what you're saying. On YouTube, DJ Monk was good. Bill, DJ Monk, Benjamin Chump is just a face that act like he's doing something. Robert Pierce, the Jackson Police Department says there's an active death investigation underway after the 29-year-old mother of four was found dead hanging from a tree behind a vacant house. Yeah, that's another case I see folks are really raising up right now. But there's another mother who comes on Willie D's lives and who Willie D occasionally raises up, but another mother whose son went out with his white friends and allegedly drowned. But there are many more cases right now, y'all. I'm seeing many across several different social platforms that just aren't really being paid attention to. But what's really telling all of us is that pretty much where all of us are at, this shit is happening. So in addition to helping the families who have already lost loved ones, we have to set better protocols about how to proactively prevent us from being the ones that are getting killed. So again, these are conversations that you have to have with, like I'm saying, at least 3 to 5 other people, so y'all can know how y'all will be responding. It's very interesting right now. Y'all keep seeing me looking around. I'm seeing a lot of non-black folks who are walking their dogs, just have to get real close to hear what the fuck I'm saying. I mean, I don't give a fuck if they hear what the fuck I'm saying, but I'm noticing that it just regularly happens with all this fucking space out here. They just keep getting as fucking close as fucking possible. And it just shows how nosy these motherfuckers are. You know, all this fucking space out here, and they just got to get as fucking close as possible. You know. But I'm talking about these motherfuckers killing us and what the fuck we need to start doing in response to all these motherfuckers. If they want to be fucking nosy, that's what the fuck I'm talking. I'm talking about black people protecting ourselves from all these non-black motherfuckers killing us right now. If y'all really want to know what the fuck I'm talking about, but yeah, that's what I'm saying. No matter where the fuck we're at, y'all, we have to be aware of the environment that we are in right now. You know, whether they bold enough to do it themselves or whether they want to go call the fucking police, gotta be ready to deal with that shit. And I'm ready whenever. You know what I'm saying? Even when motherfuckers think I'm by myself, trust me, I've been in this shit for over about 35 years now. So whatever the fuck motherfuckers is on, I've always been prepared to do it. I'm a child of God and I don't give a fuck. But back to the comments on YouTube, DJ Monk, they don't want us here. It's playing us day what's going on. I mean, it wasn't just one, y'all. It was like at 1 minute, I'm just looking up. It's just like, where are all these motherfuckers coming from? You know, it's some black folks out here too, but these motherfuckers, I mean, like, I'm not by the sidewalk. These motherfuckers are coming off the fucking sidewalk to let me see if I can show y'all. Y'all see that strip of sidewalk back there? And it's another strip behind me. These motherfuckers, they got this long ass route, but as soon as they get close to me, they're coming off the fucking sidewalk onto the grass, getting very fucking close to me so they can hear what the fuck I'm talking about. They got the right one. So let me they've raised war against us and they're waiting for us to unite and fight back. Well, see, that's the fucking thing. Like Malcolm said, when enough of us get angry, that's when it pops off. And some of us have been angry for a long fucking time while we have been doing what we've been doing for a long fucking time. It's just, like I was saying, one, a lot of our anger gets caught up against each other. And we get taken out that way, either in those incidences or as a consequence, getting locked up because of those incidences. But enough of our anger has not been directed and channeled to deal with these motherfuckers. And I was starting to say earlier, if I either got distracted or drifted off, that we also, beyond what we immediately respond to, any threats that we immediately like, were any one of these motherfuckers to attempt to do something. It was men and women. I might have one of the last ones caught on camera. I don't know if I turned the camera, so the last one was a woman, a white woman, but it was white men and women and Latinos. It was an Asian woman earlier that all felt the need to get off the fucking sidewalk. Along this whole ass path, they stayed on the sidewalk, but as soon as they got close to me, got off the fucking sidewalk, close enough to try to fucking hear what I'm talking about. But had they called the fucking police, you know, whatever. But beyond these motherfuckers, the ones who are really steering the environment, y'all, that has raised the level of threat and tension against us are these fucking Zionists. A few years ago, a video came out where they were showing that they were having, I don't know if it was an APEC meeting or something else, where they were saying the young black male was the greatest threat to Israel. Now why would that be? Other than their attempt to want to come take over cities with high black populations. And that's what the fuck is playing out right now. That's why the legislative black caucus we've been fucking with for the past couple years, they're blocking our reparations, but they're throwing all the money Israel wants to Israel. They are fucking supporting bills right here in the state of California to pay these motherfuckers reparation for some shit that didn't fucking happen here. Y'all, beyond whatever immediate shit you got to deal with, behind it are these fucking Zionists. And that's where I'm really getting black shadow banned right now. Now, I put up that video with Dr. Fauci, I think last week or the week before, and I've been getting seriously shadow banned since that. But yeah. And that is another reason why I say we got to get offline, because they control all of these sources, be it social media, corporate media, black media. They control all of this shit. So yeah, we got to figure out what the fuck we gonna do, y'all. Because even, you know, like I'm saying, people are being forced out of here, but where they're going, this shit is happening. And it don't fucking matter. We got to figure this shit out. DJ Kali Monk, still with him on YouTube. In your opinion, Brother Billion, what is the number one thing that is keeping us divided and not coming together as a united front to fight back? I believe at this point that will not happen anytime soon. I believe in fighting back is where we will be able to forge stronger unions, but expecting people who have been cultivated, highly egotistical right now. People who have been cultivated to be highly sociopathic, psychopathic right now, selfish. Fuck all of that shit. Like I'm saying, we got to start with the small few who we know will respond and help us in any crisis situation. And, you know, some folks might feel like they don't have that, but just from my being around, all of where I've been around throughout this city, throughout this county, across this fucking country, we have real people everywhere. And a lot of times it's just a matter of getting out, you know, talking to folks, connecting with folks. Going through those relationships is going to be toxic and with a bunch of sorry motherfuckers. But after the years, you will identify the motherfuckers as real. So to me, realistically, that's where our shit is going to be at. And the more we fight, the more we unite. Yeah. But thinking, you know, we're going to call a meeting and have folks come together. Half the motherfuckers in that meeting will be fucking agents. Or at least a third of the motherfuckers in that meeting will be agents. Another third of those motherfuckers ain't going to do shit but run they fucking gums. And then the other third you walk away with is, God willing, finding out a way to stay focused and fighting together without falling out against each other. You know, because that's the other part. Having the few of us who do actually get out here and fight against these systematic injustices to not fall out against each other over petty shit. And that's where George Jackson's wisdom kicks in as we are in the month of Black August, is the best we can, putting those petty differences aside, checking our egos, checking our emotions, and really prioritizing what's what. But yeah, to DJ Kali Monk, Hamasi bin Laden is saying, I was at you at Lamert with Moses to do security at the Sunday feed. All right, yeah. No, I know who you are, big brother. I saw that earlier when you did say who you are. I just didn't understand that one comment. But yeah, I most definitely know who you are. You know, much appreciation to you, respect to you. You in the park. I'm coming. Oh no. Trust me, you ain't gotta come. It ain't like I'm saying. It ain't like that. It's just motherfuckers who feel entitled now. You know that they're around here. That they're just gonna do whatever the fuck they feel like choosing to do. And that is one thing I've noticed. You know, whether I be on the phone talking or as y'all have seen, come out here in different areas and do my lives. But yeah, these motherfuckers just feel entitled until you let them know. And I don't know if any of them went and called 911 because I raised my fucking voice on my live. But trust me, you ain't gotta call right. I mean, you ain't gotta come right now. I'm not putting out that call. I don't feel threatened in any way. I just wanted to serve notice, Masa Musa, and I came to back you up. Most definitely, I know exactly who you are. But yeah, with that, y'all, I just wanted to raise that up because, I saw a lot of different folks reacting to that press conference already, and I didn't really listen to what all they was saying. But to me, it was just something, one, opportunistic because the NABJ was happening in Atlanta, and instead of raising up the overall climate that we all are dealing with right now, the black eraser is the primary result. That's the ultimate effect that they want out of black erasing us. Each and every individual murder, yeah, it does matter, but it's the overall collective objective which these gatekeepers refuse to address. And that happens whether they're killing us or whether they're evicting us. Whether, as we're finding out now with this whole COVID shit, as they're saying, we succumb to the highest rates. And again, they just admitted to us it was some shit that was government sponsored. Dr. Fauci gave the green light, the go ahead on. And even before it happened, Bill Gates was saying that was the plan. But where's black media right now to raise that shit up, to point our attention in that direction? That was something very big that needed to be brought up at this NABJ meeting for black media to go back and raise up the level of consciousness that was a fucking government sanctioned biological mass murder that just happened, genocide, under the disguise of COVID virus, some shit that they created. But even with the Nolan Wells case specifically, the two primary pieces of evidence that have come up in the past 2 weeks is, one, the tape that we heard what we heard. Everybody got to keep raising that up. It ain't shit else to talk about. We heard what the fuck it was. Even this pig that they've been using, this Negro pig, calls himself Tatum. He's really been proving himself to be an idiot as he's attempted to push back against it. In one interview I even heard, he was saying that on the tape, the folks are saying Bart. They're identifying that Bart is the one who murdered Nolan Wells. But he is trying to say the company that they call to come tow their boat is called Sea-Tow. S-E-A-T-O-W, Sea-Tow. This motherfucker was trying to say that there is an employee for Sea-Tow named Bart. And when we heard him say Bart, as they said it on that tape, that they were talking to an employee from Cito, but this is how big of a fucking idiot he is. Why would they be calling Cito if a Cito employee was already there? And that's what I'm saying. Even in cases out here, I've sat in cases out here in California, Los Angeles, California, where they will go before a jury and allow a motherfucker just like Taylor. They'll put the police on the stand to say some dumb shit just like that. So all the racists who were in that jury can run with that as their excuse why they find us guilty, or why they find somebody who violated us not guilty. And that again is where I'm saying that we have to get strong enough to stop ultimately waiting on justice to come through these systems that have proven to be unjust to us. Again, that's fucking insanity. We're saying that from a political level. You know, another thing, Sister Dimitri allowed me to raise up on her show the other day is that we found within the election corruption, you know, they have what they call ballot harvesting, where ballots of registered voters go to their residence after they have moved, after they have died, and that there are people who go around and collect those so they can vote. So they can vote as they're being paid to vote. We saw videos leading up to the election of folks being paid to both register to vote and to fill out ballots to vote. And when I started looking into it, I found videos of people around the country talking about these machines where you go to push one name and another name comes up. And one of their ways of preventing that is by having what they call open source machines where people can go in and test those machines. But in California, they're closed source, so they can't be tested. So these are many different ways where we see there is no chance politically as far as voting. As motherfuckers keep saying, you know, your vote matters. And when we keep sitting back waiting on that shit, y'all, especially with the agenda that's unfolding against us, we're going to fucking lose. So I'm going to see if there are any more comments for I get off. DJ Kalima, the division in our community is the number one issue that is holding us back. Well, I mean, you know, again, true, but we're under attack right now. So focusing on the division, fuck that. We have to focus, like I'm saying, on those who we have with us to do the work. And quite often, that is how those numbers grow. When we get out there and do the work, that's when numbers grow. But again, expecting us to come together beforehand, we've been too conditioned, too cultivated against each other to this point to where history shows motherfuckers don't come together until we are forced into hardship. Just like a lot of brothers say, they get past a lot of the different hood differences once they get locked up. Then it becomes more clear black against brown or black against white or whatever that is. So out here where motherfuckers are more under the illusion of being free or the illusion of inclusion or of assimilation, expecting folks to come together outside of just getting out here and practicing, being an example, not just talking, but actually getting out here showing motherfuckers work. That is how those of us who are really about this, you know, join together and connect the dots. Same way we came together, you know, stomping these streets. So where unity is, or lack of unity is a big setback for us, we can't just stay focused on that. We have to focus on what work we're going to do with who we have. Am I tripping, or wasn't it at 12% before? Oh, excuse me, you had a comment before that. DJ Kaliman said, I just got done looking at the percentage of the population of black people in LA, and it is at a staggering rate of 8.3%. Right. That's where it is. And, you know, again, with the rates of people moving these past several years, it'd be interesting to find out where it's really at. Because like I've been sharing in 2021, they said over 100,000 people were forced out of the county of LA, and not all of them were black, but we know a good percentage of them were, just like we know the highest percentage of the homeless people was us. So we know very likely the highest percentage of people being pushed out was us. But in 2021, it was 100,000 people out of LA County. And 2022, it was 80 some thousand. And 2023, 2024, and even 2025, it was 50 plus thousand people. So what the actual percentage of us is at this point, I don't know. But yeah, so wrapping up over here with Hamashi bin Laden. Where you at? I'll come now. Uh, Trust me, I'm about to wrap this up, and I got plenty of people over here with me. If I was to raise my voice this way, that way, or that way, I got people sitting around right now. If it was that serious, but yeah, I didn't really take what they was doing as a threat. Is just something that I've noticed has been a pattern when I come and I do any fucking thing, whether I'm talking on the phone or doing a live. These motherfuckers go out their way to get as fucking close as possible. So I just wanted to serve notice. Hamasi bin Laden, you supposed to go hard. And that looks like that is the last comment. But yeah, y'all, if y'all haven't, just look at that press conference, but don't just listen to what they're saying. Look at the individuals who are there. Look at what, they're not saying. Listen to what they're not saying. Again, the two biggest pieces of evidence that have come out that we really have to press them on is, one, we heard the tape, and we heard Bart is the one who murdered Nolan. That's what the tape revealed. And again, there's some black folks doing it to some other folks, and that tape came out, the motherfucker would have got arrested as soon as that fucking tape came out. It would have been done. And the third, a second point that I'll say before I get to the third point is that the fact that it's even taken this long for them to come out and say and prove that it was a fucking drowning, what really happened. If something natural just happened, that shit would have been proved a long fucking time ago. But that they're taking this long means they're trying to plot exactly what they want to say and do, how we're going to respond, and what they're going to do to how we respond, and how they respond, what effect it will have amongst their own. That's what's happening. And that's why I say second. But third, I think it was yesterday, another prime piece of evidence connecting the governor, the Mississippi governor, his relationship to the primary suspect's parents. The individual, Bart, is the one who was identified on that audio tape as being the killer, and his mother was appointed to the Mississippi, I believe, Board of Health by the governor. So that clearly lets us know why he and everyone under him is attempting to cover up for Bart, which again, were justice to be served correctly, all of them motherfuckers should be locked up now, from the governor on down to the little stinking ass white cracker who killed him, to this pig Tatum who's been going online attempting to mislead folks, and all the friends who are attempting to cover up, going on his show, just sitting there fucking lying, man. This shit is fucking disgusting. But again, because too many of us allow this shit. I don't know what the climate is amongst black people in Mississippi right now, but it should seriously be a motherfucking turn up. Yeah, because that's what they're telling us. Again, one of theirs killed ours, and they're going to use all their power to basically tell us so the fuck what. So with that, I'm about to sign off. I see Hamasi bin Laden has made another comment. You can recruit numbers for a look, but they have to be vetted from their hood. And when you do real work, you only need 3. I've been fighting these devils since my brother was murked. The brother shared in an earlier comment that his brother was killed back in the 90s. I don't remember if he said by the police or by the sheriffs, but he's been committed to the movement ever since. So he said in the 90s, his brother was murdered by the LA sheriffs, his brother named Oliver X. So, yeah, and again, a lot of this work is offline, y'all, because there's only so much they're gonna allow me to get out through these social sites. Like I said, I'm being seriously shadow banned. I was, getting some like shadow banning during the campaigning, but pretty much ever since I put out those videos, it wasn't even me speaking. I put out the videos of the Senate hearings, and I started getting shadow banned heavily after that. But the folks you come in contact with day in and day out, if you hear them kind of speaking along these lines, if you run into some young folks, ask them what do they think of the Nolan Wells case or any other young people in your area that injustices are happening against, or the amount of our people being pushed out. That was one of the main ways we was grabbing people's attention while we were campaigning. What were people feeling about the rates we're being pushed out or what we're going through, and folks automatically responded to that. So quite often that's where we get people to come in, by talking to and finding out, identifying where they're at. So with that, Hamasi Bin Laden got one more comment. Mississippi Negroes waiting on white Jesus to save they scary asses. Unfortunately, that is where a lot of our folks are at. But I do know we got real ones wherever we are at too. It's just how many. Will one of them finally snap and go out and exact justice by themselves? Or do they have some, a small few out there organizing? But again, wherever we at, we need to be organizing with some small groups right now, figuring out how we're going to deal with this shit. So salute to y'all. Holler if you need me, but if possible, try to get at least 3 to 5 other people, because like I said, right now I got a lot of folks reaching out to me for a lot of different reasons. Well, I'm not going to speak on that call. I think the sister wanted revealed. But yeah, just check in with your folks, because again, many of us are going through it right now, and many of us need each other's support. All right.